I was at In-N-Out and I got a burger and I was so happy I started crying.
And that's when Sandra hit you and made
And that's
you
when
that you were eating a cow.
This cow definitely had its own life.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Inside the Mind of Kolkoff.
All right. Well, welcome everyone to episode 2 of the Winning and Learning Talkshow. We have a special guest. We got Mr. Jacob Lane, or people just call him Lane. I don't know why. Why do they call you Lane?
Two Jakes. Ferg and Lane.
Ferg. That's right. So no one calls any of you guys Jake?
No, because if they do, we'll both look.
When I'm with just people one-on-one, he's not there, I say call me Jake, but it usually doesn't work.
You guys have any classes
The
together?
same thing.
I'm sorry.
No, we've never had a class together.
Oh, you're good. Wait, what?
The same exact thing with me and Cole, Joey.
No,
I've said that.
Yo,
I literally just said that.
Do you want to know why though? Because I know you as Koff, and I know him as Eck. I know him as Ferg. So I didn't even think that he was Jake. Like, that didn't cross my mind.
This is the
right
problem.
now. So I knew you were Jake
This
Lane,
is the problem.
and I knew you as Ferg.
Like,
I didn't know you as
there were
Jake
two
Ferg.
Jakes and I knew they go by their last names. Like how there's two. Cole,
No, but
they know me as Cobb.
The problem with that now is I have this other ego where it's I'm Ferg.
Bro.
And then the people that know me as Jake, you know what I mean?
Wait, so
I know you have the same life as me, so yeah. So
when you're at a party and you meet a cute girl, she's like, "What's your name?" You say Jake, and you say Ferg.
I say
Oh, gotta say
it
Ferg.
depends on the context. Usually I'm hey, I'm Ferg, and I'll shake their hand or something, and I go, but you can call me Jake.
You can
I
call me
hate being
anytime.
called Ferg. That was pretty smooth, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
What do you say, Jake Lane?
I'm trying to think of what I said to Paula when I first.
I don't recall.
Dude, we should start calling you Kiffin, bro.
Kiffin? Oh,
I'm calling you Kiffin.
I don't follow.
I'm calling you Kiffin.
you look like a Kiffin, bro.
Dude,
I look
Joey
like a
gets
Kiffin.
it. Jimmy gets it.
No, yeah, we're doing
What's up,
that.
Kiff?
Yeah.
No, but I usually go by Lane.
Lane.
Because I'm with him all the time, so that's just my first instinct. What comes out of my mouth when I meet people is I'll be like, I'm Lane.
But that's also a more normal name. Ferg. Lane just sounds more normal.
I don't think it's
I don't know about that.
There's a-
normality.
Lane is an actual
I
word.
think they're equally abnormal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Lane is
I think there's a
actually
superior.
using
Yeah,
vocabulary.
I don't know.
Ferg is kind of a cool dog name.
Yeah.
Fergie, oh Fergie.
Good for you.
Oh, good Fergie.
Damn, my dad's name is Jim.
So is mine.
Oh, you're
Do we have the same dad?
It's Jimmy.
We got the same dad, Ferg?
I mean, we both get red beards.
You
Maybe.
guys might be related.
Damn.
You're Irish,
You got the
right?
height, bro. Like, what?
Oh, he did get that.
His mom's shorter. How tall are you?
5'8" on a
My
good
mom
day.
is 5'8" on every day.
Holy shit.
But my sister
I
is
feel like your mom's definitely taller than that.
no. She used to be
I'll tell you that.
6'2". My oldest sister is 5'11".
That's a tough one.
Damn, bro.
Damn.
All that
My
matters.
brother's-
Play white out, bro. Like,
Well, anyways, so we have Lane, or Jake, and we have Ferg, or Jake over here. That's my fault. So Lane reached out to me last week, and he was like, "Yo, I really vibe with what you're doing. Stuff's pretty cool. I've been working on something myself that I think is pretty cool, and that he put a lot of time and effort into." And I looked over it a little bit. I didn't want to go too in depth into it because I wanted kind of a pure reaction, right now,
Yeah.
like these guys. So the reason I didn't give you feedback a lot right away was because I didn't really read all of it. I just read sections of it. So today, here with all of us, we'd love you to go through it all, and we give you some feedback, analyze it a little bit, try to get inside your mind a bit.
Yeah.
So whenever you're ready, man, take it away.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna start with why I started doing.
Wait, how about this? Switch seats with me.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just saying, get my own chair.
Yeah.
Feels special.
We did talk about doing that.
Yeah.
I forgot.
All right, so where I all started with this was I had gone through, and he knows this because he's been with me for most of my life,
4th grade.
Yeah, I've had like periods of my life where I've had like extreme, like I was diagnosed with depression. It's the only time I actually saw somebody about it. My senior year of high school when COVID hit. But I've had periods of my life where I've had like hyper productivity and like I've been on top of everything and felt on top of the world. And then I've had like the lowest lows that I feel like people can have. And I've been kind of like back and forth through that through like a lot of my life. So I eventually got tired of it. My first semester, I failed most of my classes, really rough, like adjusting was just like, it was hard. I don't think I was ready for it. And I didn't have the discipline. So I hit that. And I eventually said, I'm in college, like I'm 19, like I can't just be going back and forth like this forever. Like I have to do something and take some kind of initiative to like realize what I'm doing when I'm doing things right and when I'm happy, and what I'm doing when I'm doing things wrong and when I'm sad, to try and mitigate and like lessen those lows and kind of stay more in those highs. Because like I had hit like low points, and he knows that. Like I almost didn't graduate high school. I did fine. I had a 4.0 my freshman year of high school, and then it was kind of like a back and forth rough patch. My senior year, I almost didn't graduate, and I was up for 3 days straight. I don't know how I did it with his help. I drank probably like a gallon of coffee. I love this kid.
72
and
hours.
He helped me work through all of the assignments I need to do, and I graduated by a singular point. I remember walking down that aisle at graduation, like, oh my God.
You were the 4th name called too, because they split the class in half, and it was so funny.
Yeah. So, like, I've had low lows, I've had high highs, and I just kind of got sick of bouncing back and forth. Because, like, that's part of life, but at the same time, I wanted to make a positive change. So after I talked with my my mom when I got home over the summer, or not the summer, winter break, my bad. I had a long talk with her about how bad the first semester went. And I remember seeing like tears in her eyes, and like it was emotional. And I remember I sat down and I said, I need to make a change. I need to sit down and figure out what it is I really want to do with my life and where I want to go, and how to keep myself from falling down again and possibly getting into a pit where I can't get back up. So this was like something that I think was long overdue, that I've been listening and reading up on psychology and sociology and behavioral science and everything to try and figure it out. But I think that moment with my mother over winter break like clicked something where I was like, all right, I need to make a change. I'm going to start just by listing things out and trying to understand myself better.
He's been giving me books.
I've been giving everybody books. Some people don't read them.
Book recommendations?
Like actual
Physically
books,
handing
like
books.
just like giving people like, hey, read this, you know, like,
You have books at your place?
yeah. So like I'll see people that like I see in like a similar situation that I was in. I remember like I had people that helped me out like him, and I want to like do that and repay like the world for like what it's given me in those situations. So I'll give them out. Sometimes people won't read them, you know. Whatever. Like I've tried. I'll get them back and I'll finish them. Like, but yeah, I don't know if you guys want me to just start reading now.
Yeah, just go.
So I have, this is called a list of ideas for self-improvement. So I have 5 kind of sections, and then an introduction. So I'm going to read the introduction right now. So social structures in the physical world itself and everything in between is defined by interactions. These interactions can range in scale between things such as very particles smaller than atoms clashing to wars between vast empires that span across entire oceans. Most all objects and interactions in our world are studied and monitored closely by at least a small dedicated group of people. These objects and interactions, more often than not, have endless volumes written about them. Many of these fields of study are interesting and beneficial to read about. However, there's one area of topics that I've come to find is useful to us in most all circumstances, and that is kind of this social interaction, self-improvement, psychology, because you're constantly interacting with people, whether it's teachers, colleagues, work colleagues, your friends or family. So that was something that like I've paid a lot of close attention to. And then it says this field is the observance of human interaction. I would classify both psychology and sociology under this umbrella term, both of which have different strengths, benefits, and challenges that you will face while pursuing knowledge within their domain. And you will often find yourself crossing back and forth between the two, even when trying to study only one. So this is the first. Do you guys have anybody have anything? I feel like it's an introduction. It's like kind of dry.
Oh, yeah, that's introduction. That was good.
Yeah, go ahead. I already know how you write, so.
Yeah. All right, so be the change you want to see. And this is like where it all kind of started. So a wise man once said, be the change you want to see in your own life. Chances are, if you are reading this, you are attempting to emulate this very saying into your own life. This process will be lengthy and challenging, as will be all things in life that are worth doing. Many of you are aware of this, but for those that are not, be prepared. This is not meant to intimidate, but simply to inform you that much about the way you think and what you believe to be true will be challenged as you read further. By continuing, you are aiming to make a jump into the next chapter of your life. Before aiming to change the world around you, you must first change yourself. There is a reason why Marines and military personnel are made to fix their beds and living arrangements before leaving their quarters. They do this to make sure they have a clear head and extreme focus in order to perform the duties of the day with maximal attention and effort. You must emulate some of this discipline into your own life. Stop whatever you are doing right now in this moment. Take some time to tidy up whatever area you may be reading in. Whether it's an office space, home desk, or bedroom, stop and look around you for out-of-place items, trash, unwanted belongings, dirty clothes, etc. Be sure that before entering out into the world of the unknown, you first get yourself in order. Want to change or the hunger for success, but unless followed up by the deliberate action, you remain a dreamer. Nobody wants to dream their dreams when they could have a chance to live them in real life. So basically, the meaning behind that is fix yourself and what you have around you before you try to make changes outside of your own life. Because if you're not ready and safe and understanding yourself, how are you going to give advice to people around you or, try to help others if you yourself aren't in order? Like, it may seem selfish to take care of yourself before another human being, but if you're not in the right shape of mind, you have like resentment, jealousy, or anything in you, and you're talking to a person that, like, worst case scenario, you feel that towards, like, you might think you're being pure, but you aren't. You can't help people around you. You can't change how you're doing in school if your room is a mess, if you're not, taking care of hygiene and your mental state and, staying hydrated, eating well. If you don't take care of yourself, you can't influence anything around you. And that's something that I realized, that when I got into those deep spouts, I forgot about myself completely. And I was so invested into other things around me that I began to deteriorate. And with that, people around me. I brought him down a couple dark hills because of that. And he's laughing because he knows it's true.
Quite.
So,
without going too far into detail, how I told you guys, I just had a very bad part of last semester. Partially because I didn't fix myself and then tried to help him, But we're good now. But also, that kind of related a little bit to what we said last week.
Right.
I saw it in your eyes, but like we were literally saying how I brought up like my ADHD, for example. But like when I am trying to study or something, if I'm in my room, I can't have just trash or any. I mean, I usually don't have trash, but like clothes or whatever. I have to clean my room first. Like I don't necessarily clean my bed or make my bed, but that's not like a big deal to me because usually I'll be on it studying. But like I have to literally clean my room every time I'm studying or something. So yeah, like you need to have your life in order to help out other people. That's another thing. That's why like last year, I tried to have a routine every day because even with a lot of the unhealthy behavior, it kept me on track to the extent where I got through last year. And I mean, like, for example, even with all that happening in my life, I got a scholarship yesterday, or invited to National Honor Society.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
There we go.
Scholar. Yeah. So just get your life in order.
Bro, and I like that last sentence you said. I think it was the last sentence. You said, "Who wants to dream their dreams when you could live them?"
Yeah.
Did you make that up, or is that like a quote that you looked up online? Like top 10 coolest
No,
quotes?
I would. I appreciate that, but no, this was just me like spewing out. A lot of this is me just sitting down and like
So you
typing
wrote
away,
that.
and then I'll go through. Yeah, I wrote that.
Wow, that was cool.
He's been doing good ending sentences.
Bro, I'm gonna add that to like
since I
the
met
Joe
him.
verbs I have in my newsletter. I
There you
have
go.
these quotes I'm making.
Yeah.
I forget what was last week. But that's a good one. Who wants to dream their dreams when you could live them? That's dope.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that a lot. And definitely, I hit a couple of patches in the past 2 years where I continued to find myself angry at the world
Yeah,
when really I was so far out of place. Like whether I was verbally expressing my anger or not, I knew that me personally, I was representing myself so stupidly, and it would take just a couple hours in my room, or like just maybe one really really bad day to realize, wow, I've been doing so much wrong, and it all just slipped by me because I was just getting too busy, worried about
Yeah.
too many other things, or maybe we just all really do hit checkpoints in our life where nonstop we get wake up calls
yeah,
and things that we have to make adjustments to and find our ways back to the top. And last week was a tough week for me, and I just, for some reason, it just all clicked, and I said, okay, I know exactly what I have to do to get back up there finally. It took me a really bumpy road there, like the past year or two to get there, but now I know what I have to do immediately
yeah.
to get back up to where I want to be and to be at a happy mental state.
Yo, you guys are witnessing the first ever book exchange on the talk show. Lane, I'm gonna give you this book. So my friend Satch, if you're watching this, Satch, thank you. Recommended this to me. It's Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Have you heard of it or heard about him?
I think you told me.
I've heard the name, yeah, but
So-
not the book itself.
Viktor Frankl was Jewish during the Holocaust, and he was taken to a concentration camp. And the story is about his time in the concentration camp. And this is based on a true story. And of course, there's like some bad, sad stories from his times in the camps. But the whole moral of the story, the thing that he keeps getting at is, no matter what happens in your life, is how you react to it and what you can do inside internally to either push yourself forward through it or to get caught in that rut and keep going back and back.
Yeah,
So, for example, he said he knew people, prisoners in the camp, were going to die days before they died because of how they gave up inside and how they just gave up mentally, and they knew, this is it. I'm never going to see my family again. I'm just going to sit here in my bed and die. I'll take the punishment. And he just, I don't know how, just kept going through every day, doing his job, doing his marches, doing everything. And he ended up getting saved when the war was over and America and everyone else came in to separate the camps. But yeah, kind of thought of that from what you said. Like, you have to fix your inside and your mental and everything inside you before you try to affect the world. So yeah, if you want to read that book, go for it.
I appreciate it. I'll definitely will. But yeah, you said resentment. I love that word. And again, off what you said, like how you react to things.
Mhm.
So I figured out that like resentment is one of the biggest factors in your life that shows a need for change. If you're angry at the world, chances are you're not angry for no reason. So you could feel that resentment, and no matter how you feel it, to look inward and like how you think and react to things and say, okay, I feel anger or resentment or jealousy towards the world and people around me. Something needs to change. Oftentimes, that's something within you that you need to change. And sometimes it can be like, corrupt figures or bosses or teachers or people in your life that you need to kind of make like an effort to talk to or stand up to. But resentment, I found, was one of the biggest factors in my life that kind of showed me. And I'm looking, when I get angry now, instead of just like being angry, like if I'm sitting in my bed, I'll be like, why? What needs to change?
Do you ever, or do you think you get more angry when you're by yourself or when you're with groups of people?
I honestly can't say.
I would say, just by knowing you, probably when you're by yourself or just like with me,
Yeah,
because like there's no need to hide it at that point.
yeah. I think that's fair.
At least it's not suppressed.
Yeah.
So what do you think makes you so mad then? Or not mad, so mad, but like what do you think brings you that sort of resentment when you're by yourself or just with Ferg? Like is Ferg bringing that to you?
No. It's
I hope
always
not.
usually like an outside stimuli, like something that I'll realize. So like I'll be, for instance, like insecure in a relationship, right? That's an example. And people might feel
It's a big one.
insecure and build up resentment towards like their partner. But like I've realized like when I get insecure, the only time I get insecure in a relationship is when I'm not satisfied with myself and not doing what I need to do. Like I'll feel insecure about my relationship when I'm like not going, when I wasn't going to class or wasn't going to the gym or not studying. So it was like I felt like insecure within myself, and it would kind of be projected as resentment towards other people. It's like that's just like an
Transference.
example. Yeah,
We just went
transference.
over that
Yeah.
in psychology.
And same thing with like teachers or something. Like I'll be like frustrated at like a teacher. Like I'll put in like 60 hours a week into school, and I'll still get like I got like a 75 on one of my quizzes, and I was so mad, and I was like, what could I have possibly done more to like get a better grade? And I was frustrated, and I realized like maybe it was something that I was doing wrong study wise, or maybe it was something with the teacher, and I should have talked to it and said, hey, look, I'm not seeing success. I'm studying. Like, what can I do differently? What should I do to like get a better grade on the next quiz so that I don't waste all this time in a week to study for this quiz that I'm going to get a grade on that like seems like I just winged it. Like there's always like resentment is such a big thing to me that I'm realizing now to like show me, okay, make a change, or like something needs to be altered or paid more attention to, if that makes sense.
You want to move on to the next one?
Yeah. So there's one section working strengths, but that one's like, we can go over that later if we have time. But all right, so
Yeah, just do the big ones.
yeah. So I think psychology behind productivity. This is another one that I'm like very like passionate about. So we as humans have many biological impulses that drive the ways that self-motivate behavior, that drive the ways that we self-motivate, behave, set goals, and hold ourselves accountable for our actions. Motivation is a factor that many people view as fabricated. Motivation to be better is viewed as something you come up with within your own head. For example, many people think that setting a long-term goal to like become a CEO or a doctor or a lawyer does not come from your biological impulses that you have as a human. This idea is wrong. Your will to succeed, achieve things is rooted deeply within our DNA and biological impulses. There lies some truth in the belief, but also extreme fallacy. This view is self-limiting and extremely deprecating to believe. So just like that, I know it might seem like a lot, but a lot of people think, oh, I want to be successful, to help people, to want to, be at the top is from this society that we're in, or, it's from like capitalism, or like my parents, or, like whatever. Like everybody's looking outside at everything. Your want to be great comes within you. It's instilled within our biology, within humans, within all animals.
Right.
It's chemical releases like serotonin.
That's what I was gonna say.
Is released
Big
the higher
factor.
you up in anything,
Right.
in any type of social situation,
Reward
in society,
systems.
it's reward systems, and that's ingrained in who we are. That's
No, it's
not
true.
outside. So like a lot of people be like, oh, like whatever, like I want like the doctor example and everything, like that's within you. If you want that, you want that. And if you don't want that, like not everybody wants that. It's just to what extent. And that has like a lot of inside, like it has to do with the chemicals inside you. So when people like, just for example, like you set a goal and you're like, I don't know if this goal is real, or I don't know if I really want this. I think it might just be outside. That's within you. Like that's set ingrained in you as a human being that want to be better and succeed.
So what do you say when people say, okay, but what's your backup plan? Or what's your plan B? when you tell them
So-
your big goals?
This is something that I have in here. I forget exactly where it is. So my thing is set your goal as far away as you can physically see yourself getting. We're visually oriented creatures. Like sight is what gave us consciousness and like the ability to think. It's like in the Bible too. Like one of the stories, like the reason the Bible's been around so much, even if you're not super religious, is there's a lot of metaphor in it. So, like the Adam and Eve story, like the forbidden fruit, I think that has something to do with sight. So their eyes were open, like metaphorically, and they could see danger in front of them. You could see danger in front of you. You could see, okay.
I've never heard about that being a metaphor before.
So, like, you can see
And then when
the
she takes
danger
the
ahead
apple,
of you.
When she takes the apple anyway, she knows it's danger.
Yeah.
It's
And
just she's just
They
taking a
wake up
risk.
to that. So then they plan ahead. Okay, there's danger in front of me. There's danger ahead. So, like, it's in us again. This is all within us, like, who we are. Set your goal far away. The farther away it is, the more focused you are. But realize, and this is a big thing, realize you're probably not going to reach it. It again, like, I don't want to lie to people. You set that goal. I want to be a top 10% entrepreneur. You're probably not going to reach that. But if you set a sad and sorry goal for yourself and think about that and have like that nihilistic way of thinking, you're never going to know how far you could truly get. I'd rather not reach that goal of becoming a top 10 CEO and still make 200 grand as opposed to be doing data entry for the rest of my life, making 30 or 60.
Right.
So, like, life is hard. It sucks. You're going to fail a lot. You're going to fail more than you will succeed. But if you let that eat you up and you get resentment towards the world, again, that resentment, you're not going to get anywhere near where you could go. And that'll make you feel even worse about yourself.
Bro, that's so funny you said that because I just finished making the newsletter last night for this week. And I don't know if you guys read the newsletter last week. Who cares?
Great
But-
read, great read. 5 minutes.
I read it like a month ago.
So I inputted this new section on the online version where it's like, who said it? And it's either Donald Trump, Aristotle, or Kanye West.
Ah,
And
perfect.
I'm going to have a new quote every single week, and people can vote who they think said it, Donald Trump, Aristotle, or Kanye West. And the one for this week is, reach for the stars, so if you fall, you land on the clouds. And that's exactly what you're saying. Aim for right here, so if you fall, you'll fall here on the clouds. But likewise, if you reach for down here, you're going to fall down there, and maybe even
Yeah.
lower. So who do you guys think said that?
I don't know,
Kanye.
but anytime I hear one of those like good life quotes, I just always think of a rap song. Like I don't care if it was Aristotle or not. You put it over a good beat, it's in a rap song.
Right? What do you think? It was reach for the stars, so if you land, you fall in the clouds.
I'm going to go
Kanye
with,
from the college dropout.
So yes, Kanye, Aristotle, or Donald Trump.
Definitely Kanye.
just because he said Kanye, I'm going with Aristotle. We can't all do the same thing.
Should I tell you guys? You
Yeah,
don't know what
it's Kanye from the college dropout.
Yeah, it's Kanye. I don't think.
I knew it was
Wait,
Kanye.
is it from the college dropout? I don't even know what song it is. I forget. I'm a
All
big
falls
fan.
down.
I'm
All
a
falls
big-
down.
No, it's definitely not all falls down.
Mr. Yee himself forgot. Come on, Joe.
Yeah, I forget. Alright, fuck, I don't know. I'll edit it in somewhere.
Yeah, but like if you're not gonna aim high, how are you ever gonna reach your potential? You know,
Bro, exactly, and I
make it tantalizing. At least you're reaching for
dude,
it.
right? And people don't understand that.
No.
Like, let me ask you this: do you believe? Of course, there are people born into like third world countries that don't have running water, don't have
Yeah.
any idea what electricity is. Excluding that, sadly, excluding that. If you're born anywhere in America or any country that's developed, do you believe that you can do anything you set your mind to?
Almost. I mean, obviously, there's some stuff like not
Like what?
everybody
What are
can
the
do.
boundaries? Because I truly think you can. If you're born into a country like America and someone wants to be president, if they truly want to, they could be president. There's nothing, no physical thing is stopping them but themselves.
Well, they have the opportunity to, but the problem, the fallacy with kind of what you're saying is like, since we haven't reached equality completely.
Our last
That's
president, our two
No,
presidents ago.
that's not even what I'm saying. I'm saying like just like the wealth gap. Even a lot of people start way lower, and in addition to that, like they don't have the best education and stuff, so they don't, you know, like you have to go to college to become president because almost every president, I believe, has either been poli-sci major or a lawyer at some point to get into politics. So like it almost anything.
So, give me an example of someone who you think being born right now, like what city, what demographic you think couldn't be president because of that?
I mean, I can.
So
but
so here's my thing. Like, I don't believe in equity at all.
I don't.
I believe in equality of opportunity.
Bingo.
But that being said, I truly, with my heart of hearts, don't believe that we have achieved equality of opportunity to an extent that we could have.
Yeah.
So, for example, schooling systems. Again, you could, but it's going to be a lot harder coming from a place that doesn't have broadband, which is internet access.
Yeah.
So
Are there
basically,
Stupid
Comcast.
question. Are there places in America that don't have internet access?
So they'll have internet access, but it's
awful.
unbelievably shitty.
Okay.
So
Like on campus?
No. We can load a Snapchat.
So you should
it might take
slap
10 minutes.
us. Oh my
I mean,
God.
somebody has to say it. It's
He's not wrong.
horrible. But no, so like for example, like even inner city, like Philadelphia. So Comcast and I forget. There's 5 other companies that provide broadband, which is just internet access.
I think it's just like the big 5.
Yeah, it's just the big 5. Provide internet access for people, and where it's not as profitable, very low income communities where it happens to more be like disenfranchised groups. They have little to no broadband to where like we can sit here and do this. They can't. Like you can't go on Netflix in some of those areas because you don't have the internet to do that. Like I thought living where I lived, everybody had internet like that. I moved up here and I was like, why is it so shitty? And I was like looking into it and reading about it. And, especially it's worse in rural communities, like out in like poor
Yeah,
areas and
definitely.
like upstate,
Montana.
northwestern
even
PA.
even on the ride here.
Yeah.
there's a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So like to say like again, I don't want equity. I don't want everybody to get the same result. You need choice. That's what this whole country is about. But I do think there is specific advantages that some people have to get to certain places that like others don't, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so what if I said, to support Joey's point, that every day you wake up with a chance and a choice? How hard is it to go outside and start asking adults for questions when you're a 10-year-old kid or something? If you don't have access to internet or books or whatever, you can go and get firsthand experience. And a lot of people just don't think outside of the box like that. But I can tell you that I would definitely encourage it to anyone. And the first thing that I realized when I came to college was I came in with the mindset like, oh, I want to be an engineer. I don't want to be involved in any school extracurriculars. That's what I did in high school. In high school, I barely skated by. Never studied for like any quizzes or tests. Just whatever. I'm there for a good time. Involved in all kinds of shit. Came to college. Don't want to be involved in anything. And then once I got here, I realized like, hold on. I'm living in dorms, which means I'm surrounded by people all day long. And if there's one thing that anyone has ever taught me about college and the real outside world is connections. And I was like all right.
networking.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
So I was like, all right, I'm going to have to do what I do best and just talk to people again. So I'd start talking to people and making connections. And so I think the word of mouth and just the hesitancy that some people have to not go out there and shoot your shot after stuff that, it could be a stupid thing. It could be a small thing, but ask the question. Start a conversation. Don't say, hi, what'd you do today or whatever. If you're actually genuinely interested in getting to know that person, what they have to say, they probably hear that 10 times a day, 100 times a week. But you can really pick the minds of people, and especially people that you're not comfortable with, at least by appearance or judging them by appearance. If you're not comfortable with someone, those are some of the best people to ask. And especially if, I see a bigger guy in the weight room, I'm picking his mind. I want to know what he's doing, what days he's doing, how much he's eating, what time of day he's eating, things like that.
Well, another thing is like you said, a 10-year-old, but I guess it would apply to anybody. If you don't have access to the internet, you're still kind of stuck within your circle of influence, so like your neighborhood, and like that. Just don't get me wrong; those who ask questions usually get farther than those who don't. That's just like common sense. But like the problem with that is like all the things they're doing to try to do equity instead of equality. It's like here's a kind of, I guess, an analogy. They're trying to cut my legs off to make you taller instead of making you stilts.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
How does he do it?
That's
perfect example. Like don't take 4 inches off of my height so me and Jimmy can be the same height. Don't do that.
that's dumb.
Right.
Try to help Jimmy get there. You know.
Yeah.
That's what. Not to get political or anything,
but
but like just for like example, like a lot of things like people are fighting for equity, right? And like everything, it's like, oh, like there was this thing, and it was like, oh, I don't know, certain groups of people have to give certain groups of people money. Just that's it. And it's like, what if we put more of that energy into fixing broadband, schooling systems?
that would help substantially.
That would give people that equality of opportunity, or at least closer to it,
Yeah.
as opposed to saying, basically, fuck you, have fun struggling through whatever you're struggling through. If you make it, here's some money. Like,
Yeah.
that's like,
Yeah.
If you want to flip burgers for the rest of your life, you should at least have the opportunity to do that instead of being forced into it. You know what I mean?
Now, do you think, you guys definitely heard this before, it was like, if you took all the money in the world and split it up evenly between everyone right now, the people who were rich and poor before you did that would end up being the rich and the poor
yes,
5 years down the road.
100%.
Yeah,
I will
mentality.
say that.
It's 100% about your
I will
mentality.
say that with extreme confidence.
If you change nothing other than their bank account, it would just go right back to the wealth gap.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
that's just how the world works.
And even if those people changed, it would still end up the same small group of people at the top, most of the people under them. A big thing is the Pareto distribution.
Yeah.
Pareto, however you say it.
That's the 80-20 thing.
80-20.
Mhm.
And that is a law of life. Again,
But we
that-
talked about this last week, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's ingrained, again, in who we are, in nature, in animals. This is like one of my favorite examples. Classical music. This was Jordan Peterson said this. Classical music, right? All of the classical music that we listen to comes from like 5 composers. Think about how many composers there were back then.
I can
Is
name
that
3.
because of like, some stupid? They're all the same old white man. Like, there's no other, like, it's just how it is.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with wealth, with status, with like,
And like right now, like rappers, how many rappers are there?
exactly.
Millions.
It's just a rule of life.
Every middle schooler.
Yeah,
SoundCloud.
everyone's on SoundCloud.
So, yeah.
But we only know like these prominent figures.
Yeah, and that's like one of the things that like from doing this, I've learned to, instead of ask questions, have that resentment. I won't even ask that first question. I'll listen to people ask it, figure out what's wrong with it, and find a better question. Because I know there's too much in life to fully understand. My journey that I'm taking is just ask better questions to understand everything around me more, if that makes sense.
Also, like I can tell that that's kind of his mantra, because I mean I grew up with him, obviously. Like his little brother, just from like learning from him, Jack does not shut up.
No, it's Jake and
He-
Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's funny.
my brother's name is Josh. All right, we're gonna
Jake,
talk.
Josh,
Jack?
Jack.
We'll ask you a question about literally everything. It could be the dumbest thing in the world. Usually, it's not. He's a smart kid, but like he's gonna be really smart because he always asks about literally everything. You know, so
And don't worry
definitely
about time.
influencing your brother.
At like 45, I'll start
Good,
closing
good
out,
ways.
just because we did start a little bit early.
Oh, true.
We'll go to 45, then I'll try to slow it down.
Okay.
But no, damn, sorry, we've been talking a lot. You haven't heard anything in a while. If you want to go back and have like a closure thing, we can make it part 2 if we need to. But
Yeah. So, all right. Oh, this is
Biggest
a lot.
point.
yeah.
My biggest point in the paper at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have like 3 minutes.
Don't rush that. We could.
Pay attention to who you are and not other people. So I'm just kind of like skimming over this and shortening it. So never, ever, 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 ever sit on social media and compare yourself to other people. Set that incredible goal and only compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different shelf. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday. Every day, make yourself a little bit better. Set that far goal, work backwards, figure out what you need to do tomorrow to get there. If that makes sense.
So, who's,
Only compare yourself to who you are and who you were yesterday.
so I agree with you 100%.
I'm trying to hit the buzzer right now.
But
Got it.
who's your role model then? If I would ask you that, who's your role model? Who do you look up to then? Who do you aspire to be?
So,
And I agree with you though. Don't think I'm disagreeing with you.
You can still have role models. It's just like
So here's my thing. In terms of specific role models, I don't have anybody in my life right now that I wish to emulate completely. There's people that I like enjoy like listening and learning about their life that I want to emulate more. And like some of those people, for example, would be like, I know this, but Elon Musk, just because how hard he works.
Yeah.
And then, for example, like Aristotle, I'm reading Plato's The Republic right now, and for one of political theory. But the way he asks, this is where part of where I realized that question, don't just ask the question, keep asking them and ask smarter questions, and you'll learn way more than if you approach something with the mindset of you already have your answer and you're just trying to prove it by asking a question. So like those are like, I'll have like traits of people that I admire and things I want to emulate, but I don't think I quite have that stone cut person where like I want to be like that, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I think you have to do that. Definitely gets a lot better in life when you start finding those people and say like, I don't want to be completely them, but I want to pick that part about them and say they do that really well, or like that makes me see them in a different way. I like that. But what I was gonna say right after you said that was, it's a quote either by Michael Jordan or about Michael Jordan, and I'm gonna mess up the phrasing here a little bit,
paraphrase.
but it's something about like you can never beat Michael because he competes against himself every day. And it's just one of those things, when I read that, I've competed with myself every single day since then. And I have not worried at all about what anyone else either has to say or what anyone else looks like. And I never really gave a shit in the first place. But it just put me once again in that state of mind. Like, dude, I didn't sit on the couch today. I didn't sit on the couch yesterday. But did I outwork myself yesterday? Yes, I did. And just that kind of thing. Yeah, definitely look up that quote because I just butchered it, I'm sure. But it was that's the important part, is compete with yourself and you pretty much will never lose as long as you treat yourself better than you did yesterday.
Progressive overload applies to more than just the
gym. Deadass.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So, Lane, what I'm going to ask you right now is, because we're trying to stay cautious of our time.
Yeah.
So right now we're at 45 minutes, but I think we could cut a few minutes off from the beginning.
The beginning we can cut like 10.
Yeah. So I don't really think we're just cutting you off right now. If anything, we can make a part 2. I mean, I thought this was a good conversation.
Yeah.
I would love to have a part 2 and just keep going more in depth about this. Right now, let's try to wrap it up. So how long have you been working on this? And how much, like, are you close to being done? Are you writing a whole book about it?
No, I'm aiming to get a whole book done.
And how many pages do you have right now?
Let me check the top because I don't have them numbered. 10.
10 pages. And I'm guessing you're aiming for a couple hundred?
Yeah.
So this is just a start.
Yeah. What I think I'm gonna need to do is elaborate on some of these topics much deeper. Because if I just continue going, people are gonna read this and just be like, "What the like?" So I'm gonna have to like spread this out. I think this is just chapter topics, and I'm kind of as I'm reading about them, I'm adding in and kind of filling in, so they'll spread out deeper, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah,
I'm the paraphrase king. I got you.
That's smart.
You could definitely interview people for that too.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to take an opportunity to do this and like hear other people's like thoughts on things and like.
Mm-hmm.
No, I agree 100%. And definitely keep us updated with that. And I guess when you get more chapter headlines, like we went over a few headlines of chapters. If you get more of those or expand more on those, we'd love to have you back on again and get into more detail about it. But dude, you came in with the turtleneck. You're gonna bring some heat.
He said, "Should I put it on?" I was like, "Yes."
Dude, like, he texted me. He's like, "Are we wearing button-ups again like last time?" And I was like, I think you texted me this too. You both.
No, I called you. You go, "No gym attire."
Yeah. And I was like, "No, just casual, just no gym attire, no sweatpants, no sweatshirt." And you guys were like, "Bet." And he comes with the turtleneck. I was like, "Damn, bro, I would have worn a turtleneck too if I knew."
Yo, next week. That's a theme.
Yeah. Turtleneck.
Making that a thing.
Yeah, I kind of went from Jake to Lane with that. I'm not gonna lie.
No, I think that's heat. So again, thank you for hopping on.
Of
And
course.
Thank you guys for listening. If you made it this far, And again, the newsletter is out. If you aren't subscribed to the newsletter by now, I don't know what you're doing.
Quit being a bitch.
Yeah, are you guys subscribed?
Yeah.
All right, word. Yeah, so seriously, subscribe to the newsletter. If I can make a link, I'll try to put it in the description. If I can't figure out how to do that, just text Winning Learning to 22828. It's 5-minute read, I would say.
Yeah, it's
Give or
5-minute read.
Quick read, a lot of value. This week we went over how to make a good first impression. And I'll give you a sneak peek. So the 5 things that I went were always leave the house dressed like you're going on a first date. I had always carry a pen with you. I had invest in a watch. And when you're in a conversation with someone for the first time, never make it about you. Always make it about them. And the last one was always have a clean car and a clean room. And we go into detail about that in the newsletter. Next week, don't know what it's going to be about yet, but definitely subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next week.
Before we cut the mics, cough. Did we do good? There we go.
You're a number 1 fan.
Oh shit.
My dick is gonna pop.